Hi, I'm Trish Tagley, Executive Coach and Life Coach, and this is Trish Time. And today we have with us, with the Cornell Cooperative Extension, Barbara Sachs, Executive Director. Hi, good afternoon.
Good to see you, Trish.
Nice to see you too, again. And to start the show off, why don't we talk about how you came to the Cooperative Extension at Cornell?
Sure. I was a city manager for many years, and I got a call from some people I used to work with the state legislature, and they suggested that I take a look at Cornell Cooperative Extension in Westchester. And they said it's actually a governmental agency, and they're looking for a city manager type to be the executive director. So even though I wasn't looking to change jobs at the time, I did go to meet the board of directors, and I was so impressed by them. They were just terrific. I was, thinking what a privilege it would be to work for such wonderful professionals, all in the top of their field, all very, very dedicated volunteers. They aren't paid for what they do, and with a very keen eye toward the importance of honest governance. So I ended up taking the job several months later, and I've been there now 11 years.
Wow,
So,
fantastic.
and still enjoying it. It's a wonderful organization, and I feel very privileged to be a part of it.
And from what I've read and from what we've discussed prior to us taping the segment, there's different parts to it. It's not just about horticulture, it's not just about nutrition, it's about actually both of those things and more. So maybe we'd start with the nutrition part.
Okay, well, let me give you a little bit of an
Sure,
overview
sure.
first. Cooperative Extension is part of the land grant system. Cornell is the land grant college for New York.
Okay.
And as such, it operates the cooperative system throughout the state of New York. And our programs in Westchester are geared strictly toward our Westchester community. And each of the counties gears their programs toward the needs of their communities. So, for instance, upstate, you might have in Broome County, the prime program might be dairy farming, or agriculture, whereas down here, our prime programs are horticulture and 4-H and nutrition. And of those, we have 3 sets of professional staff members. And for instance, in the horticulture program, it includes horticulture, the environment, and pest management, because that is an issue down here in Westchester. And we have a lab at our headquarters. Our headquarters is at 3 West Main Street in Elmsford. And we have a laboratory there. We do nutrient analyses. If you have a problem with some kind of plant, whether it's a branch from a tree, or some people bring in leaves, others bring in small plants, others bring in soil, we can analyze it. We've got microscopes set up, and we've got experts on staff who can tell you what your problem is and how to solve it. In recent years, we've gotten heavily into pest management. And of course, when we think of pest management, we think of insects, we think of rodents, but pest management also includes how to keep deer from consuming your entire garden, and that's another problem here in Westchester.
Is there a tip? Is there one tip that you could give about deer?
Well, the horticulture experts can give you a lot of tips. In fact, we have fact sheets that explain certain plants deer do not like. And of course, putting up a fence, over 6 feet high, deer don't like to go to that trouble to jump over a big fence to get to what they want to eat. But there are a lot of plants that they don't care for that are very pretty. We also deal, of course, with the pest management industry, the New York State pest management industry. And our horticulture group works with the turf and landscape industry, which is all part of something called the green industry, the $1 billion, with a B, $1 billion green industry. And it's a huge industry in Westchester. It employs over 10,000 people down here alone, just locally. And that industry, of course, is all the people who deal with plant life and insect life, the folks who cut the grass, the folks who, the arborists who take care of the trees. and municipalities, the county, the towns, and the villages, they all have staff members who take care of the public lands, which are very extensive here. And we train them too. So by training them, we help them learn best practices. In other words, for instance, with the golf course industry, we show the golf course employees how you can have beautiful fairways, beautiful greens, without using a lot of chemicals and without wasting your money on things that you really don't need, and at the same time not worrying about having stormwater runoff, putting a lot of pollutants into the Hudson River or the Long Island Sound. So by working with those industries, we're improving the quality of health and the environment in Westchester. So we're not just making things, helping people make things beautiful, but we're helping them make them healthier. Right.
Yes. And I also understand, I know we're going into warmer season now, but just to mention it for our viewers, you also look into overwintering pests?
Yes, because some pests are a little bit dormant and not as active in the winter, but they're still hanging out there, or they've still left their eggs there, or they're still hiding away, having their little babies who are going to come out and infest and invade. So we do have programs for both the residential sector, which is homeowners and tenants, as well as the commercial sector. We also train landlords. And we're not going to tell you which hotels come to us for training, but certain local hotels send their staff to us to learn about how to identify and prevent bed bug infestations. Because that's something that we don't. Once a guest finds a bed bug and puts it on the internet, the hotel has a lot of problems.
Yes, absolutely. And I believe that you've also been approached by different news stations to talk about the Zika virus.
Yes, yeah. The major media, ABC, CBS, and NBC, often send their reporters from the news shows to come to us and interview the professional staff about not only Zika virus, West Nile, and other, in this case, these are mosquito-borne illnesses. But they've also come to us, like last summer, they said, what can people do with this drought? You can't water your lawn, you can't water your plants. How do you deal with plants that are dying left and right in the drought? So one of our staff members, Jerry Giordano, our senior horticulturist, went on the media, which it turned out it was national media, with his advice on how to deal with that problem. But they do come to us quite a bit. Same thing with, if there's an invasion of tree insects and they're destroying trees, like the elm trees are undergoing a problem right now. So the media will send people to interview our staff. And the advantage to having the staff right here in Westchester is that they also do scouting, and they do this about once a week, so that they make sure that they know exactly what's going on with everything that's growing throughout the county. And by doing that, they're staying on top of and predicting what the problems will be, so that they're in a better position to advise the public.
Yes, absolutely.
So, again, with pests, sometimes it's just a matter of prevention. We found that people were moving firewood from infested areas in other parts of the state where they might have a summer home or they might have been on vacation, and they bring firewood back into Westchester. Yes, yeah. And in the firewood are the larvae of all these awful insects that are destroying some of our plant life.
Yes, yes. So those types of things. But aside from that, there's also this wonderful Master Gardener program.
Yes, yeah. We train volunteers who are Master Gardeners. Well, they become Master Gardeners after they train with us. And, we have a very small staff, and we have a pretty small budget, actually. The county gives us $640,000 a year, which is not very much for what we do. But we do it because we've got a huge number. We've got over 300 volunteers, and about 100 of them are Master Gardeners. And the Master Gardeners we teach them, we train the trainer, we teach them how to go out to the public and train the public, so that you might go to a farmer's market, for instance, on a Saturday morning, and you see a booth or a table set up with the Cornell logo, and it says, ask your gardening questions here. Those are our master gardeners. We go to health fairs. We go to any place that the public congregates and might need our assistance or our information. The master gardeners also have this wonderful home garden lecture series that they do every year, and they bring in experts from all over. It is a very, very popular program. Hundreds and hundreds of people throughout the county attend them. And they run from January to June. And I'm sure they'd run it past June, except that they're all so busy in gardens and at the other events.
And they also do take care of the Hartsbrook Preserve garden. They work there. Yep,
that's a demonstration garden. And if anybody's interested in seeing, an example of what you can grow without a lot of chemicals, without a lot of water, without a lot of fuss, right here in Westchester, vegetables as well as ornamentals, they can go any day of the week, of course, to Hartsbrook. But if they go on Tuesday, they'll find these expert master gardeners who will be more than glad to give them advice and help them out.
Yes, so. I run sometimes in Hartsbrook, and I do see the gardeners tending to the garden. And before I had spoken to you, I was always afraid to oh, I better be quiet, I better be careful. But apparently, now that we know this, we can approach them and actually talk to them, and they're actually very excited to speak about the type of work that they do, and the type of plants or whatever, whatever questions the public here in Westchester might have for them. They're very happy to help.
Yes, they have a lot of expertise. And we also have a speakers bureau where if a group or an organization or a Rotary Club or any group wants to hear about a specific gardening issue, we have speakers who can go out and talk to them. The Speakers Bureau is very popular with the garden clubs. They love to have our speakers because we'll talk about practically any topic. We just sent somebody out to talk about container gardening. So if you can't plant things in the ground, how can you have a very nice gardening effect, so to speak, by having containers? Sure.
Yeah. So now that we've covered the gardening and horticulture aspect and pest aspect of what you do, but like I said, there's also the nutritional part. So would you like to speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, the nutrition educators are trained experts in nutrition, particularly for low-income populations. And the reason they have to specialize is because when somebody has limited income and they're using SNAP benefits, which is a supplemental nutrition assistance program, we used to call it food stamps. It's the same type of program, but it's got a nicer name now. And, that limits you in what you can purchase, and making ends meet and trying to stretch that so-called food stamp dollar to last till the end of the month, especially when you've got kids to feed, is not the easiest thing in the world. So our educators teach low-income individuals, particularly those who are heads of household or do the cooking for the household or the food procurement, how to not only stretch those dollars, but how to make sure that the entire family is eating balanced, healthy, nutritious meals. And they also do cooking demonstrations, so that they're not only telling someone, you should buy this or you should buy that, you should stay away from sugary drinks, so they're a waste of money anyway, and here are great substitutes. But they actually show them how to prepare the different foods so that it's pretty easy to, they're not complicated recipes. Pretty easy to put that good food on the table. Now, what is the goal? The goal, of course, is to make people healthier. And when you think about all of the nutrition-related diseases, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, stroke, now they've found certain cancers are nutrition-related. These can be prevented by having a proper diet and a healthier lifestyle. healthier lifestyle often means that all you have to do is walk every day. Go for a walk. Take the kids for a walk.
At least 30 minutes.
Yeah, don't let the kids sit in front of the TV or
Yes.
sit at the video games all day. Go for a walk. Have, that's your family time together.
Yes.
Go or walk to the store, and bring the kids, but working these things into the lifestyle is very important because that's how they become sustainable and permanent. So, we love when we get letters like the one we just got from a fellow this past year who said, I went to my doctor for my annual checkup. He said, you no longer need your diabetes meds. Your sugar's great, everything's great, and you've lost so much weight. And he wrote us this beautiful letter saying, it's because I followed everything you taught me in the program. What is the benefit, of course, to the general public? When a low-income person gets sick, they don't have private health insurance.
That's right.
So taxpayer dollars are paying for their medical care. And the best way to save those medical dollars is to prevent the disease in the first place, to keep people healthy. So the taxpayers actually benefit by programs like this. It comes back to the many, many-fold. And, if you look at something like type 2 diabetes, $22,000 per person to treat it without all the complications of amputations and things like that. Multiply that by how many years the person lives a healthy life. So it's a big return on the dollar, so to speak.
Absolutely. And there's a certification program, I think, that's connected to this nutritional education that you do.
Yes. We actually have classes where if you attend 6 of the 8 classes, you graduate and you get a certificate, and we have a graduation ceremony and a party, And of course, the food at the party is very, very nutritious.
Of course.
So, everybody takes those certificates and frames them because it's something they earned. It proves that they now have knowledge of how to feed their families in a very healthy way.
And just for everybody in the audience to know, these programs are not just taught in English; they're also taught in Spanish.
Yes, it's bilingual. So we have English-speaking as well as Spanish-speaking educators, and we, as I said before, Westchester CCE, which is what we refer to as Cornell Cooperative Extension, we structure our programs to meet the needs of our community. And when 1 out of 4 people in your community speak Spanish and not very much English, it behooves you, if you want to communicate with the person, to learn how to speak Spanish. So we hire Spanish-speaking educators, and and we train them, and often they come to us also with nutrition backgrounds.
Yes,
so
absolutely. And the good thing about it too is the recipes probably incorporate some of the foods that they're used to eating from back home.
Yes.
So it's not
just
what we would traditionally call American food, but also incorporating some of the more familiar food to them from home.
Sure, and we can take recipes and substantially reduce the fat and calories by just rewriting the recipe. And that's where our nutrition educators' expertise really comes in, because if somebody says, well, I love beans and rice, okay, that's fine. But, or peas and rice, as some of us say, that's fine. We can show you how to prepare it. It'll taste just as good, but you'll be cutting a lot of the fat out. And, and that makes it a healthy diet.
Yeah. And besides, so we've covered now quite a bit of what you do. I know that you're also involved in the 4-H. And to me, when I used to think of 4-H, to me it was just farm animals and children. But 4-H has apparently grown a lot larger than that and covers quite a bit more than just farm animals and children. So please tell us about that.
Yes, and 4-H is the oldest and the largest youth education program in the world, anywhere in the world. And 4-H did start out, the purpose of 4-H originally was to send extension educators to the farm where the kids were, because the kids weren't required to go to school, and a lot of the kids quit school after 3rd grade to work on the farm. And the idea of the 4-H educator was to go to the farm to help educate the kids. And it grew out of that. Now, of course, the kids come to us. But, you know, and now we're teaching them farm. We've gone full circle. You know, but we've expanded the curriculum substantially. Where are the future jobs? The future jobs are in STEMs, you know, which is the science, technology, engineering, and math. Yeah. So, you know, that's the future. And we have a vocational orientation toward 4-H, which kind of goes back to its origins. So we'll teach the kids on an experiential level, and it's very hands-on. So we're not having a 4-H educator stand there in the classroom and dictate to the kids. Instead, it's hands-on. So if we're teaching them rocket science, for instance, we actually teach them how to build a rocket. And you can't imagine how much fun it is building your own rocket and then going outside in the safe area and actually launching the rocket. The kids learn. If we're teaching them about, for instance, where your food comes from, and we're teaching them plant science. So we'll teach them how to grow simple vegetables. And once a kid learns how to grow a vegetable, they will be forever vegetable eaters. They love vegetables. Anything they can grow, pull out of the ground themselves, they'll eat. Excuse me. And of course, we have the incubation and embryology program, which sees over 7,000 kids in Westchester a year. And if you know anybody who said, oh, my kids or my grandchildren were hatching chick eggs or duck eggs in the classroom, that was our program. And the way we do it is we train the teachers. The teachers come to us, and then we train them how to teach the curriculum. We provide them with the curriculum, and we structure a lot of our curricula to meet the New York State standards, so that if New York State wants certain things taught, we have a 4-H curriculum that will complement it. And interestingly, the kids who participate in our after-school programs seem to do better, you know, by at least 5 points on the statewide exams when it comes to science and math. So I guess we're doing something right.
Yes. Okay, so Barbara, I also understand that the 4-H program teaches public speaking to children.
Yes, and interestingly, if you talk to somebody who went to 4-H, an adult, when they were a youngster, the one thing they always remember is, that's how I learned public speaking. Public speaking is something that every kid, whether they're going to college or not, will always use. And it's a very important basic skill. It's not taught in the schools for the most part. It's not taught at home. It's very hard to acquire that. And for youngsters to learn public speaking, we also teach them how to organize their thoughts. It's not just, you know, speech lessons, so to speak. We teach them how to tackle a project from start to finish and make what we call a public presentation. And that is, they present it to a group of panelists who critique it and tell them how to improve it. They're learning about the project while they're doing it, so they're learning something technical along those lines, which they choose their own projects, so they're learning something that they enjoy anyway. And then they learn the joy of speaking to others about the project, which is a way of teaching others. You know, there's an expression, if you want to know if somebody knows their subject, ask them to teach you something about it.
Yes.
Well,
absolutely.
That's what 4-H does.
That's fantastic. And again, thank you so much, Barbara, for being on the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Well, today we learned quite a bit about the Westchester Cooperative, thanks to Barbara. And hopefully through Trish Time, I've brought you some interesting businesses and organizations that have expanded your horizons and your understanding of what we have here in Westchester. But what I'd like to offer you as well is there's a URL at the bottom of your screen that will direct you to a worksheet that will help you decide and think about where you might need balance in your life. And as you work through that, you'll also be able to develop certain actions that will help you move forward towards your goals. So thank you once again for being on Trish Time. This is Trish Tagley, Executive Coach and Life Coach. I hope to see you back again. Thank you. Bye-bye.